guys, so today I'm going to be doing all about Scorpio. I'm going to be doing 3 pros, 3 cons, and 3 facts. So yeah, let's dive right in. First fact about Scorpio is that they are a water sign. Water signs are your Pisces, your Cancer, and your Scorpio. There's a second fact, almost a third fact. Second fact is that they are a fixed sign. Fixed signs are very stubborn. They're very clingy. They like things to be their way. They can be controlling at times, and they are very passionate. They kind of have a tendency to let things consume them when they get very excited about it. And fixed signs are Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus. Third fact about Scorpio. Scorpio rules over the 8th house. 8th house is transformation. It can also be considered like the house of sexuality, death. So like the most intense house. I feel like there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of stigma behind Scorpio. Okay, so in holistic astrology, which is kind of an older form of astrology, we said that Scorpio rules over Mars, as well as Aries, which is still true. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, but it's also now considered in another study of astrology, which I'm blanking out at the moment, but I know it because I'm an astrologer, is also ruled by Pluto in, I want to say Hellenistic astrology. So Pluto is kind of this like very gothic, edgy planet that people are kind of drawn to. It's very like death, sexuality, transformation, and that's kind of the overall theme with anything Scorpio-wise. Scorpio energy is that in a lot of ways, but it's also so much more than that. So we're going to talk about that. First pro about Scorpio. First pro is that they are extremely motivated. They're big achievers. They set out to do things and they do them. They're kind of not really, I mean, they can be talkers, but they're more of like, I'm gonna show you this and then we can talk about it. Like they're kind of more action-based versus big speech gestures. Second pro about Scorpio is that they see the facts, and I think that keeps them in a very like level-headed, rational kind of sense of being. Also, they're extremely animated, and they have a huge personality, but because they're able to keep themselves grounded in a lot of ways, it keeps their take on life and their perspective on life so interesting and so fresh. Whereas I feel like someone who's like very personable and animated but doesn't have like hard cold facts keeping them grounded, Leo, will most likely get kind of disillusioned with what they're saying, and what they're saying doesn't really add up or become tangible, whereas Scorpio always kind of has a purpose for what they're saying or doing. And again, this applies to moon signs, sun signs, all major placements. So yeah. And then third pro about Scorpio is that they just are so I want to say they're so daring. They don't really need your opinion. They don't really need your input. They don't need your approval. They will do what they feel they need to do or when they need to do it. And they're very strong in like what they choose to do. They're very strong in their beliefs and their ideas. And this is so nice to have like a friend or someone around you that is like this, because it teaches you not to constantly question yourself or not to constantly like care or concern yourself with what other people will think about things. I feel like Scorpio is more of like this kind of calm, steady, focused person that just knows that as long as they're happy with it, as long as they see that it's reasonable or has a purpose or makes sense to them, then it'll all fall into place. And that kind of assuredness is really nice. It's really refreshing, and I feel like we could all take notes with that. And then first con about Scorpio. So like I said before, as a pro, this can also be a negative. They are very animated. They also, I feel like a lot of fixed signs have this issue of being very hypocritical. I don't feel like they mean to be. I feel like they just don't see themselves a lot of times, or don't hear themselves the way other people like perceive them to be heard. So I feel like a lot of fixed energy in general, like Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, I feel like they can make big proclamations or make big statements, but then do whatever they're saying shouldn't be done, or kind of redeem themselves, but everyone around them is kind of not redeemable. For instance, say someone you work with doesn't ever work but constantly complains about everyone else not working, but they're never working. It's just kind of like that scenario. I just feel like they have a tendency to just let themselves go under the radar, but hold other people under a microscope at times, because they have that like detective mentality. And then second con is that they kind of are boastful. They can brag a lot, and I don't feel like that's kind of talked about. I feel like Scorpio is very self-assured and they're very confident, and that's great. Like, I love that about them, but at the same time they can be extremely cocky and extremely insufferable. They have big egos, and that's totally okay, but at the same time they have to like leave room for improvement, and I feel like if they don't allow themselves to identify fault in themselves, they'll never have room for growth. So that's just kind of my take on that. And then third con about Scorpio is that they have huge hearts, but they're extremely guarded, and I feel like they kind of keep themselves overly sheltered from the world or from situations. On the flip side of this, when they actually do come across people that they connect with or people that they care about, they can be so naive because of how typically closed off and untrusting they are, that they sometimes allow the wrong people into their life, and they can attract bad people. Like, they kind of pretend to be like, oh, I see through everything, oh, I'm a human lie detector test, but in all actuality they can actually be the most immune to seeing bad people or attracting bad people toward them. So they can be like naive to be taken advantage of. So they have to kind of find a balance, I guess. Like, they have to not be so sheltered but then not be so open. I feel like it goes one way or the other. I don't know. It's a catch-22. Overall, that completes my video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Comment below if you agree, if you disagree, tell me why, and make sure you're turning my notification bell on and subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.